This week on RSBANDB Update, 110 Woodcutting, Fletching, and Firemaking arrives in-game. We discuss new woodcutting mechanics, crafting hatchets, and assembling bows with the disparity between bow and arrow XP. Also a rundown on the Masterwork Bow, and why you probably want it. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1016, recorded Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Eternally Woodcutting. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week we have woodcutting, fletching, and firemaking going to level 110. And to talk about this update, Tanis, you're back. Feeling a bit better this week?
Thank you, Shane. Yeah, feeling a little better, a little more space in my mouth. So yeah, got lots of words to come out later, lots of thoughts. Looking forward to getting into this woodcutting and fletching update.
Right on. Also joining us here this week is Averdick.
Yeah, also excited for trees. I think the trees are pretty good.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, and I'll say it here. I thought, I can have Group Ironman people on this week, and we can talk about Group Ironman, or should I get people who are actually, making the Masterwork Bow and interacting with this on mains that are, north of 100 woodcutting and fletching. So that's why Avernick is here.
If you're Group Ironman and already 99 plus woodcutting and fletching, good on you, but why?
We're not there yet. Yeah. And Zerdones is also here. Welcome.
I am here. I am here to bring the Lorax to tears.
Oh, not the Lorax.
Is that?
Yes.
Isn't that the mythical Dr. Seuss creature that lives in the woods?
He speaks for the trees.
Yeah, I can see why.
Because the trees have no tongues.
Right.
And here we come.
We're killing them.
Right. But before we do that, big, huge thank you to our experienced tier Patreon members, for whom without update would not be possible this week. That's Amos Reed, Andrew C., Bladecom, Drama Free, Dominic R., Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Mr. T., Ricky A., Runestar, The Naked Captain, and Tim. And there is an opening in the experienced tier, so if you want to join in on that, we'll have a little bit more about how you can do that a bit later in the podcast. But in the meantime, head on over to update.show for full show notes. We also have a Discord at update.show/Discord and a friends chat in-game, which can be found at BitsBytes. All right, so let's just dive right in here and start with a bit of a TLDR of this update. Woodcutting, fletching, and firemaking all go to 110 now. We have eternal magic trees, new skilling mechanics on those trees, new bird's nests and consumables, new ranged weapons in the form of the new short bows and crossbows that come with the update, as well as the Masterwork Bow, which I imagine a lot of people are going to be interested in, but also, last but not least, the two new hatchets as well on this. And, I think it just makes sense for us to start off with a bit of a discussion about the eternal magic trees and their mechanics here for these. They're found in the Piscatoris Hunter area. The area looks absolutely astounding. How do we want to start with these trees? What are you guys' first thoughts?
They are large.
I would be remiss
units
to not appreciate the lore.
Okay. What do we got for that?
I think that it's pretty cool that we're integrating some of that Aya stuff we got with Extinction in the Elder God War series.
Yeah.
It's both current and relevant, but also a little like I don't want to say generic, but like it fits. The merge with the magic trees makes it feel like it could have always been here, but also it's pretty neat to see it integrating to some events from 2 years ago.
So basically and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, basically what's happening with this is that is this like a combination of the of an iron tree and a magic tree brought together?
Yes. Yep. So if you speak to the NPC at the area, the Ilyanka, They explain that they've crossbred a magic tree with iron bow tree,
Okay.
I believe is what it's called. It's a real tree that exists on Earth, but they've put associated with Aya as part of its culture. So that's kind of the red wood part, and the magic tree is the blue bark.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense on that. And, I saw some people saying, why didn't they just go with redwood that old school has? And I think it does good for RS3 to separate itself from old school on these sorts of things. And, we have this in the lore, so why not?
There's a fine line of specific and generic, and I think they've towed that pretty well.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a good way to put it.
Recognizable, but also RuneScape-y.
Yeah. So when you first head over to one of these, you see that we have tree timers now, which is different than anything we've had before. And I guess the interesting thing about this is twofold. One, the trees aren't going to fall randomly. Second, is that you're in effect rewarded for moving away from the tree into a different one before it falls down.
Yeah, a lot like a divination spring. Other than if you start your own, is that you can know what close when you're done, or hop onto one that's pretty full health with other people. With divination, there's benefits to hopping with other people, but this one, especially with it being release week, they're all kind of active at the same time. So you're kind of picking and choosing where you want to get the most time out of a tree.
Yeah.
I think this works for the Grove. I think that this might be a topic that we bring up for most of the mechanics, is if this was applied to other trees, how would it work for trees that maybe there's only two of them next to each other, or there's so many because they're regular trees or whatnot. I think this is working for this skilling area. I'm curious how that would apply to how trees have been applied to the world otherwise.
Right. In particular, you'd have to in effect fudge the timers based on that, because you don't want to, see it moving, or rather having them deplete to a point where there aren't any others to really move to. If you have a bunch of people woodcutting in the same area. What about you, Tanis and Zerdone's timer wise?
I was kind of surprised. I was expecting more of a mining and smithing type thing. In fact, I didn't really even realize that they weren't competitive until we were talking pre-show. That's never really been. I've never found that super clear anyway. When there's two people on a tree and then all of a sudden there's no tree, but yet you don't have logs, but you might not add logs anyway. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure there's an equation that you'll tell me about, Shane. But
I'm not entirely sure what the equation for this would be. I know my interaction with it has just been, if it appears that there's going to be, less than 30 seconds, I'm going to do my part and move away to ensure that it comes back quicker.
Yeah, and I mean, now I know that.
That's really all I've been doing, and it's just the right-click identify option. I think it is. So,
yep.
What about user dones on these new? Or go ahead, Tanis.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was also a little surprised too, because I don't know why, and this is probably too high of an expectation, but I did kind of think whatever was done with woodcutting would translate through the whole world. It makes sense to have an area and have a new tree and mechanics, but that was a question I had. I'm like, I wonder. I'm surprised. I thought it would cross. Go across.
Like if I read in from the 110, the other, the generic 110 stuff that we've been feeling, I think the sense, particularly from Breezy and Stu, is that if these mechanics are something that players like, then they can be brought to other areas pre-level 100 of the skill where it makes sense by way of a game jam project in the future or something like that.
Okay.
I think this is a lot more prevalent with the second 110 update, because the first one, mining and smithing, the work is done, right?
Yeah.
This
really
one,
it's change the mechanics.
This one's kind of showing like how the 110 updates are trying to weave that line between trying new things, but also they don't have the time budget to go back to the old things. It's a little surprising that it's currently being looked at in Game Jam. I feel like maybe there's a little room to be give
a few more resources, a
period of for each one, did this go over well? If yes, maybe that's where you start throwing where you would put your not that we have Ninja anymore, but we still have periods where certain developers are looking at just QOL stuff. Maybe that's kind of where you direct some of that effort. But right now it does seem to be a lot more dedicated towards Game Jam has to be bringing these through, which is what it is. I think that mining smithing as a start was both good and bad in that it used updated mechanics, but also it didn't really give the sense of how these 110 updates would work in skills that didn't have updated mechanics. Yeah.
Because he also, raised the question, and this also becomes apparent in 110 fletching, is that do you want the same sort of thing that is smithing to be the, just the generic production identity of a skill as you go forward? But Zerdones, where do you land on these new mechanics in terms of timers? And
I like it. And I think more to the point, I don't want it to be more. I hope they don't backport this mechanic onto the old trees.
Timers specifically.
I could be okay with Chopportunities, which we'll talk about a little later. But the timers, I hope those stay with the Eternal Magic trees for two reasons. First of all, I don't think that the older trees really need it. Because, let's be frank, there are a lot of them. There are so many trees. As part of this update, you have to cut 100 of every tree, 200 if you want the woodbox upgrade. I barely ever saw another person when I was doing that. We have tons of trees. The reason for this mechanic, the reason the timer mechanic exists, as opposed to the classic way trees work, or the trees in RuneScape work, is because it lets us have a small number of trees that are non-competitive, and we can bring players together into one enclosed area and create kind of a skill and community hub, which works when you have a small number of trees. And when you have a small number of trees, you need a way to keep them, A, non-competitive, and B, have some kind of the same woodcutting identity that makes it distinct from mining.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the other trees really need. And then the second reason I hope they don't do it is because one thing, not to get too off topic, but one thing that I really found, I was playing Brighter Shores when it came out, which was the new MMO from the Gower brothers. And one of the things that I found really frustrating about that is that every time you level up, you're never discovering anything. There's never anything new. It's just more, or there's very rarely anything new. It's always just more of the same stuff you've already seen. So I like this because as you level up woodcutting from 1 to 89 is very similar. The only difference is how long the trees last. Then you hit 90, and elders are different. Elders have a timer, they're instanced, there's only 8 of them you have to cycle through. And then 100 Eternal Magics are different again. There's a different kind of mechanic. There's something new that you can explore and experience.
Right.
And it makes it feel special. It brings back that excitement to see something new.
Then you can also say that then there'd be something else different entirely for when 110 or 111 and 120 comes out.
I can dream. Will they do it? I don't know. But I can dream.
It is a good point, though. I guess that's fair. There are a lot of trees. That's fair.
There are so many trees.
Yeah.
It's a very green game.
I don't know if the timer mechanic is the one I'd say is the one to keep
to back
100 specific.
Do you want the logical instincts, the lumberjack's intuition?
I think that timers could be backported with keeping lumberjack intuition at 100.
Okay. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. I think I would rather have the Lumberjack's intuition, which when you stand on a certain side of the tree where it's shimmering, you get a buff which lasts for 30 seconds. You get increased XP when a log is obtained, a higher chance to obtain nests, a higher chance for enchanted nests, and a higher chance to perform a perfect cut. And basically the perfect cut is woodcutting's critical strike mechanic, which guarantees a log from that swing and grants extra XP for that log. And typically they have a random chance, but you have an increased chance under Lumberjack's intuition, in particular a plus 10% chance increase to perform a perfect cut when you're under that skill. So
you're also guaranteed a bird's nest if you activate the effect within the first few seconds.
Oh, so if you're the first,
seconds, yeah.
You don't have to be I don't think you have to be the first, but you have to be very soon after it starts.
Well, the mechanic is player specific. Like there is no the first.
Right.
There is.
That's, yes.
You do have to be there within 5 seconds of it appearing.
Is it 5 seconds? Okay.
So there's our reward for active gameplay.
Right. If you're not, it does stay there for a long time after. Like you can go get like the mid-tier reward of you just don't get the bird's nest.
Yeah. So
for a while after.
It's a good mechanic in that respect because they're the reward for being highly active. There's a reward for being sort of mostly active, and then if you're not
you don't have to interact
very
with
active, it's not game breaking.
Okay.
I do feel like it's a little bit underwhelming, the rewards, and I hope that's not a controversial thing to say.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's okay. I feel like bird's nests are kind of rare on their own as they are. So anything that makes them come
I feel
better.
like bird's nests aren't exciting, though. Bird's nests are valuable to me at least, I find bird's nests are valuable if you're hunting for Incando pieces or you're making the Bloom and Blight hatchet.
Right.
Which
I don't even think it's that crazy for the Blue and Blight. Like, I think that was pretty handed out.
Mine was about 1.5 wood boxes.
Yeah, I saw people go very dry on it, so I don't know.
Really? I was using a scrimshaw, so like I feel like
well that does it.
You can go like crazy with bird's nest buffs.
Yeah, you can.
Like
the bird's nest buffs are
all like in the hundreds of percents bonuses.
Yeah. Superior scrimshaw is 400%.
See, the thing with the chopping, I feel like it works here, but I don't know. Well, okay, it could work. There are some drawbacks. One, it's a bitch to see.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about that in particular.
Yeah, it's all of these things are going to be to different extents. I would say the time spray is probably still king of visibility, but even it had its problems at first. It's hard to see, and there's some. I don't like having to spin the camera all the time.
Yeah.
And so, and especially if it was anywhere else, the trees aren't the same size. It ain't even easy to get on a particular side of a tree that you want to be on anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I could see this something that would really, only be applicable for you and above if I had it my way. Because I feel like all the other ones disappear too quick.
Too quick,
yeah.
But they got to be big enough around so that it's not. I don't know. When it comes to a rock opportunity, when it comes to a time sprite, you're clicking on the area. It doesn't really necessarily matter how the computer's mapping it up to get you there. You just start working wherever it is. Whereas this, you have to get on the right side of it, and just tile mapping. I just think it's kind of a bitch for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of jank in RuneScape, and I feel like the movement system is one of the more janky parts. So building mechanics around it is always a little bit iffy. I think Song of the Depths quest still really annoys me for that reason, but this is kind of...
Which one was that again?
That was the Queen Black Dragon quest.
Right. And, one thing I want to talk about in particular about Lumberjack's intuition is that it looks like you need to stand specifically underneath the falling thing, but the reality of it is, as long as you're on that side of the tree, you get the benefit.
Yeah, that's not obvious.
It's
I
not
will
obvious
say,
at all. But
I will say Jagex is aware of the visibility issues, and Mod Breezy has said that they're wanting to look into making them more visible.
Okay, so then that's
improving the visibility.
Okay, that's not something that we should worry about then with that.
They're on the case.
Yeah, but overall, I like. I think I'm the odd one out here then who likes the Lumberjack's intuition as a mechanic.
I do like it. I don't want to say that I didn't. I do think there's a little room for improvement here and there, but I do like that. Like 90% of the buff is attributed to the mid level of paying attention.
Right.
Like it's pretty minor what you get for the above and beyond. It's the bird's nest, which maybe my experience is tainted by the rarity of the enchanted bird's nest this past week.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. And the reason
I still haven't gotten one.
Yep, same. Though I've
gotten one.
Okay, and what did it have in it?
I can't remember. I think it had a necklace.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, porters, right?
Right. Fair enough. That's interesting. Okay. There's new consumables in there as well, with these nests, including things like the bird whistle, which gives you an increased chance of finding a specific type of nest. You choose between seed, ring, or egg bird nests. A sharpening stone, which is basically the crit chance buff. Imbued bird feed increases the chance of finding an enchanted bird's nest, and Lumberjack's courage increases the XP received from getting a log by 20%. So these are all very similar to the archaeology materials, but the enchanted bird's nests are also able to provide things like you said, Zerdones, the necklaces, gems, salvage, clue scrolls, woodcutting consumables that I just mentioned, higher tiers of wood spirits, and rarer seeds.
So, in not having gotten one, I think that the consumables are a little silly. Like, these should be more prevalent.
Yeah, I feel like doing. Yes, I agree. Like, I think part of the problem I have with the Lumberjack's intuition buff in general, like I have a few problems with it that mostly boil down to it doesn't feel very rewarding. One of the reasons is because birds' nests in general are really underwhelming. Like, who's really excited about, other than Shane, who's really excited by tree seeds?
How did you know that's what I wanted from this?
Because I know you, buddy. I know you.
And you know what's the group Iron Man needs.
But why?
They don't need trees. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, who needs tree seeds when player-owned farm exists? And even if you do, like, pickpocketing. I don't actually know where you get tree seeds.
Tree seeds only come from nests.
Only come from nests? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's a little bit interesting to Iron Man.
Yeah.
But
but then there's
like
miscellanea in that
rings,
case, which just prints, bird's nest, right? So
yeah, there's miscellanea. Like gem rings, who cares? God eggs, okay, sure. And like the enchanted bird's nests, they're kind of interesting, but for how rare they are, it's just really disappointing. You get like one every however many 100 logs. You open it up and you get a necklace.
they want these consumables to be a money-making method. Unlike archaeology consumables, these items are tradable, adding a small money-making opportunity for chopping eternal magic trees.
And
but
they
then I think that
be.
gets to the other problem, though, which is XP and resources really a reward? Because woodcutting, maybe this is just my perception, but it feels like woodcutting is very fast as it is.
Whoa. That's a hot take.
I mean, when you factor in things like, the arc and the golden bamboo and, the hijinks that people were getting up to with crystallized acacia. Were crystallized acacia, and then later crystallized mahogany you see that woodcutting was, fast. And I think that this is kind of, rebalancing in that direction. And maybe woodcutting does need to be fast, but here's the question, folks. Who's going to be buying copious amounts of eternal magic logs?
They are coming into the game very quickly.
Yeah, right now
they're like
at least.
At 1 GP right now, I think.
That was a bug. That was a bug. That was fixed.
The buy limit was a bug.
Oh, okay.
But I heard they were selling at 1 GP.
1?
Well, because they're coming in so fast.
But doesn't that take us to the Mark 5 or the bows?
You don't need that many.
Fletching.
Though. Like a tier 5 bow only needs like 32.
You get so many logs.
You need 63 to take a bow all the way to Mark 5.
Yeah,
I think it's 63.
Yeah, 63 because because 4 to 5 is 32.
Doubling, yeah.
So
I mean, and there'll be more where this comes from, but I feel like a recurring theme throughout is going to be balancing.
Yeah.
All the stuff is there, all the concepts everything is there. I like it. A lot of balancing though needs to still
this might be a hot take and not to jump
is
ahead.
It really that bad though, the XP?
Yeah, it's down that I don't.
Or XP for what? For woodcutting or for
fletching?
For
woodcutting.
I don't think it's.
No, I think the woodcutting is amazing.
Woodcutting is not all that bad.
Amazing.
Yeah. Woodcutting.
I think we just jumped a ton though because we just got the new tier with the new hatchets. Like,
right,
we've been woodcutting with under tiered hatchets for a long time.
That's why Mkanda was such a big boost last year.
And then we just did that times 2 again.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of why it feels so different. Because eternal magics feel very fast, but
and
part
even,
of that I think is the
even going back to like elders and stuff right now for like the composite bits of the Masterwork Bow is like this is really going fast because we just jumped 20 levels in hatchet, and we did 10 last year.
Yeah, we're now actually finally at proper tier.
You're getting the as advertised numbers from your hatchet that we never did because when woodcutting was born, they thought, oh yeah, rune, that's all you'll ever need, and then they just stapled dragon onto that after that, then stapled crystal onto that, and they didn't really fix it until last year.
You'll never need higher than what was crystal actually tiered
70.
at, like 65?
65, but 70 to use.
It was tiered at 70, but it was functionally like 60-something, I think.
Because they were hitting a cap.
Yeah.
Of tier success shit. I'm curious how you guys felt when doing various woodcutting grinds during this update. Did it feel better than the mining and the 110 mining stuff?
Did it feel what? Sorry.
Better, like faster. Like
yes.
I felt like I was doing everything like mining and smithing. I felt like I spent like the day doing it. This one I felt like it did a couple hours.
Yeah, that's
100%.
fair. That's fair. Let's get into how the hatchets are made, but before that, I'm just going to thank our Patreon supporters for the week. Good time to take a break on that. So this week, I'd like to thank Alvaro L., Amos Reed, Andrew C., Arvids L., Bladecom, Brayton K., Chilbura, Dominic R., Drama Free, Duramax, Guy Lafleur, Harry, Iskatu, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Mr. T, Pernasius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Targayin, The Naked Captain, The Dabbin Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you to everybody out there. It does mean the world to us. And if you're wondering what all this is about, you can head on over to patreon.com/RSBNB. And if you want to sign up there, you can do so. All you got to do is pick the tier. We have tiers starting for as little as $1 a month, and for that, you get access to an entire back catalog of bonus shows, otherwise known as monthly bits. We just recorded 2 of them in rapid succession. The most recent one that I did was talking about why is PVM fun, and that one will come out the first week of January if everything goes to plan, and then. The one that Avernick and Zerdones were there for was RuneScape's Gods through the Sixth Age, through the lens of the D&D alignment chart. That was a fun episode, wasn't it?
That was a good one, for sure.
Yeah. Avernick, you were doing all the spoiling on that episode, so no spoiling here for where certain gods ended up.
I'll try.
Yeah, but okay. Tease one. Tease your favorite one.
You will not believe how evil that one god got.
Okay, which god are we talking about? Wink, wink.
Everyone's favorite.
Okay, I think that's enough to hear what we have to say. And, many people will know that that's where that one god would have landed. But if you want to hear exactly why they're there, head on over to patreon.com/RSBNB. Sign up for as little as $1 a month. We also do have the VIP tier at $3 a month, where you get a chat channel mentioned on the podcast at the start of the month and access to high-quality stereo versions of the show. And we also have our insider tier, where for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week and gain exclusive access to the outtakes that we use to make the show, which is only the clip show, which is only a few weeks away. And I will say right now, as of recording this on Thursday, the 12th of December, we do have one spot available in the experience tier, and that is the premier RSBNB Update supporter tier. You get the shout out at the start of the show. You also get to attend a live show recording and Q&A just to yourself. And of course, a few times throughout the year, we will send out special merchandise or gifts to those members. So if that sounds interesting to you, patreon.com/RSBNB. It means the world to us. Thanks so much for allowing us to do this podcast each and every week. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks.
All right, hatchet grinds. Let's start off with Ember and Glade. The tier 90 hatchet. Yeah, the easy one.
Blink and it's done.
Blink and it's done is really the way it goes. So there
is a lot of personality in it, which I like.
Yeah, I have a funny story about this one, actually.
Do it.
You remember last week on the show we were talking about the need to, find another crystal hatchet or something like that?
Uh-oh.
I had a second crystal hatchet sitting in my bank.
Oh, phew.
So I spent Sunday night and the first half of Monday gathering harmonic dust, and then I look at my bank. Oh, there's already a crystal hatchet here.
Oh, no.
Well, now you know you have to do, Shane.
I know, and I did.
Another Incando hatchet.
I did. And see, that's the thing. I already had an Incando on my tool belt, so I don't know where this other crystal in my bank came from. So now I have the fully augmented and perked out Ember and Glade, which was used to upgrade to Bloom and Blight. And then I had that other Incando that was in my tool belt, which you can remove now, and this other one that I found. And now we have one on the tool belt and one for upgrading. So it was okay in the end. It was okay in the end.
See, but I had the opposite experience where I just trusted past Avernick to have done that, and I logged in and I did. But I did not check before.
I was about to say, did Past Avernick betray you?
No, Past Avernick did good.
Oh, good boy. Good Past Avernick.
The Crystal Hatchet was still there. I didn't tear it apart for the Incando one.
Yeah. So the Ember and Glade requires the crystal plus the Incando and the shard of the Lumberjack, which you get from Wilfred, the woodcutting Cape guy, for 1 million GP. And to put it together, you need a combination of Well Gothic Sleeps, Plague's End, obviously, for the crystal stuff, and Birthright of the Dwarves for the Incando. 90 smithing at the Ancient Anvil, requiring level 90 woodcutting to use. The easy one.
Yeah. It is a little bit non-intuitive because if you click on the Shard of the Lumberjack, it tells you to go to an anvil. Just any anvil, but It's only the Ancient Forge one.
I think they are changing that as a patch.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's another thing they've identified as wanting to fix. They also, I guess we're skipping ahead a little bit to a patch note, but they also changed it so that the Pickaxe of Earth and Song is also made at the Ancient Forge.
Adding in that small little achievement requirement to have relit the forge after Well Gothic Sleeps.
Yeah, so they're kind of sort of tying things thematically together that way.
That makes sense. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean it's great thematically, but pain in the ass.
Well, you can if you have a Slayer cape, you can teleport to Kuradal, so you can get there really quickly. You still need to light the forge, so that's a little bit of a pain. But
who hasn't lit the forge though?
Oh, someone in our clan hadn't.
Oh, really?
People in my clan hadn't either. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's a post quest thing, I guess.
It might have been someone guesting. I can't remember now. But
I wonder.
Yeah, no, I was.
Did we have to relight it for anything else?
Dragon armor initially was the initial use. Since then, it was
Dragon Deflectors.
Dragon Deflectors, and to break down things to make Masterwork.
That would be why mine was lit.
That's where you break down like Torva and stuff like that.
It's also a MQC rec, Master Quest Cape.
That too, if you care about the completionist capes.
Who would do that? Who would do such a thing?
Crazy people.
Did you guys catch the line from Wilfred questioning why you need another shard of the Lumberjack?
I did.
I thought that was neat.
No.
That was there's special dialogue if you get a second one.
Oh. Well then you cool people with cool 2 hatchets got cool dialogue.
Dual wielders.
Yeah. It's basically why would you need another one of these? But okay, 1 mil.
I think it is neat that how the same way the Pickaxe of Earth and Song had you going to this smithing cape master to get the knowledge to put it together. We're doing the same thing with the woodcutting master.
Yeah,
this time that was a neat little tie.
Yeah,
because before it was Thurgo for the pickaxe.
Yeah.
So at the end of it all, I have a Hatchet of Bloom and Blight that's augmented, and one that is on my tool belt as well, because the Bloom and Blight procedure, after you complete that for once, you get another. You can just ask, you can ask Ramarno for a chance to have the goodies again for free after that. And this
he just gives you the items.
This is 50% of Luke's leg on Brain Death Island.
As a throwback.
Yeah, and the funny part about that is that Sirion and I just did the pirate quests on Old School last week, so it was interesting going back there on RS3.
Nice.
I think it's interesting how both with the Pickaxe of Life and Death and this hatchet, they both have like this horror component.
Yeah,
like the death part.
Yeah.
But this one, while you're east.
Yeah, east of the mainland.
Yes, like it's like pirate associated and like horrors and Blackstone and stuff like that. But this one, while you're hatcheting away at this leg, someone's leg with like the happiest little music going on in the background, I thought it was pretty
silly.
It's very silly.
Silly
the horror component is joyful.
Yeah,
which is typical RS.
Very pirate questy.
And these are the ones that need a completion of Killy Row and Pieces of Hate, which
is why you
we
need
talked
delay.
about last week. Oh boy, lots of quest requirements on that.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Janice, how do you feel about that? Have you done Pieces of Hate?
Yeah, I mean, at least it's good for something now.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, 83 agility, 81 construction, 82 firemaking, and 85 thieving. Some of RuneScape's highest quest requirements.
Mm.
Yep.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Oh, they will eventually.
Well, with all these level 110 skills, I hope so.
Yeah. We saw 95 with the Raziel quest, so I think that we will go there eventually. Tensile Vine, which comes from cutting overgrown idols. How long did this take you guys?
Oh, took me a while.
Probably 90 minutes, but I did this very soon after the update. So I
Okay.
was doing solos for a while, so I feel like I did get a lot of chops in without other people like disrupting it by finishing off the spot. So
Oh,
maybe I would have been unlucky.
or idols competitive?
Well, you
Like-
finished them.
In that people can finish the spot and then you have to like click on it. Like it's more active. Whereas I was able to do it
Yeah.
very AFK because it is per chop.
Every little cluster of vines has a health bar, essentially, so more people chopping it depletes faster.
As more people got there, I had to pay a little more attention and not just like
Yeah.
stare off of something else. So I do think I might have done a lot of chopping, but because I was able to do it pretty AFK, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think Mod Stu said on Reddit, I think, that the way it has bad luck mitigation, kind of similar to the
The
mining
shooting stars.
shard.
Yeah.
Every chop, basically, you're more likely to get it. And I think he said it's balanced so that it should take 2 or 3 idols on average.
It did take me 6, and then the first 3 I
Yeah.
did solo, so maybe not the best luck.
Yeah, it took me like 7 as well. I got quite unlucky.
Okay, so
But we
I
got there in the end.
feel okay with 3.5 then, and I was working with one other person there.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. That part wasn't too bad. Then you need the attuned moonstone, which is again same vein as the attuned moonstone for the pickaxe, requiring 100 of
boy,
each
this was
log with
fun.
wood spirits.
Who
I
saw
have
it
good
going
news
and
on
had the
this.
spirits?
I have good news on this. I had the
Really?
majority of wood spirits already in my bank, and I only needed to spend 10 mil on this.
Okay.
Only.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you have
Okay,
bank
go ahead.
space for all that? Oh no, they go in your box. No,
Yeah,
They
they
go
can
in
go in the
those
wood
stay in the
box.
box at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the update for me, I saw this coming and I started
Yeah.
buying up spirits. I probably also only spent like 5-7 mil on like the wood, the oak. I think I might have bought magic ones as well. But it was willows that just were not buying before the update came out.
and
so
still,
I did-
still after the update, too.
Oh, I'm sure it's even worse now.
Yeah.
Willows
so
and oaks.
the hour before the update came out, I was just camping at the chest in the scabarate, the new profane scabarate
Right.
area, and those give out like 3 at a time, like maybe like 1 every 5 or 1 every 10 times you open it.
Yeah.
So I spent the whole hour just getting up to 100 of those. I figured that this was going to be a part of it.
I got my willows from ham guards. It
Mm.
wasn't too bad, but
So what do you do with that?
Yeah.
You just go in there and AoE necromancy and just mow them down, or?
I use magic, but yeah, just kill them. Yeah.
Okay.
Greater chain.
Yeah, I didn't do much prep. I had some just that I'd got passively. I bought a few. I tried not to spend too much. I know several people who spent like 60 mil to buy all of them.
Just for the hatchet, not
Because-
even for the bow. The bow is going to come with its own cost.
Just for the wood spirits. Well, because especially the low level wood spirits, their prices exploded. Like I think even today, oak spirits are like 200k each.
And 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, maybe at this point, they put them in the game, and like, it just did not. You need to come in either sooner or
Well, that's part of
more
why
places.
I think.
Yeah,
Because they're so recent, there's not
They're
many
so
in the
new.
economy, and then also they're very uncommon.
Mhm.
Like I did a test because I did end up buying a few oaks. I got most of them from nests as I was chopping other things, but I tried to go down to the catacombs, Lumbridge catacombs, because that's one of the places you can get them. Like the main place you can get them, I think, is from goblins, but goblins were cannoned to death.
I just want to say that goblins making money, I don't think has anybody had on their bingo card for 2024 here.
Not at all. So I went down to the Lumbridge catacombs where they're supposedly uncommon. 3 doses of aggro potion later, I had 6. 6 oak spirits in like 15 minutes. So that's a drop rate.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? I think there's something in the patch notes too about adding some more spirits here this week.
They added eternal magic wood spirits.
Oh,
there is, I think Mod Breezy has mentioned wanting to make the low-level spirits a little bit more common, add some more sources for them, or increase the drop rates a little bit.
Now, controversial opinion here. I don't think they should do that until this update calms down.
I will be even more controversial and say I don't think they should do it at all.
Okay.
Because, so, here's my thing. So, I have a lot of thoughts about the use of wood spirits in this update. I understand that they're thematically tying in with mining using the stone spirits. Mining used a lot of stone spirits, and that made sense because stone spirits have been flooding the economy for almost 6 years now. Wood spirits have not been flooding the economy, other than the ones that come from bosses, which up until Monday were only, I think, Acadias and Maples, I think, from Sanctum. Like, they basically didn't come into the game at all. There's very low supply of wood spirits. So, and the more common ones are the higher tier ones, like magics.
Yeah.
I went and I Iron Man magic wood spirits.
Where'd
I went
you
to
go?
automatons.
Okay.
And I got them really fast.
I know.
I think
I know Thaxi was saying that the Beastmaster and Yakamaru kills this week were around 7 to 8 mil profit worth each because of those magic wood spirits.
Yeah, because raids drop magics and also elders, and I think use as well. I'm not 100% sure about that. I know they drop magic and elders. But it seems like there's kind of like an inverse rarity curve on the wood spirits, where the low tier spirits are less common and the high tier spirits are more common.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense because the low tier logs are less, they need less help.
Right. Mm-hmm. And
they
also
don't need the wood spirits as much.
And also remember, we have planks now for every log except for the eternal magic. So it makes sense that there be a way to take these pieces of wood out of the economy. So that's why I said, hey, if there's going to be more wood spirits added, why not just wait until this update calms down? And I don't know, maybe I'm with you as well that they don't need to add more. Tanis Avernick, what do you guys think?
It just goes back to what I was saying before with balancing. I mean, it just goes back to balancing. I do agree with you, Shane. It probably requires a little bit of time because it is so, it's update week, but I think there's going to be some balancing to do.
Yeah.
I have seen that there's going to be new wood and oak spirits added, but
like soon?
Like before the end of the year.
Oh, wow. Well, that means this coming week then, because the last update of the year is Monday.
Yeah, the last update is on Monday.
There has been a Discord discussion about where other ones could be added, instigated by a JMod. So it does seem like at least those two have been identified as possibly sore points for this.
I heard Willow, honestly, as the big one.
like I said, Willow's the one that I know what the source is. It's that stupid little chest in the scabbard.
Yeah, that's the big one. And then Hamguards is the other one.
So I think that I do appreciate the arguments, though, that like you do get out of those levels so fast. And what we're using them for at this point is
a hatchet,
like the Masterwork Bow or the hatchet, or things like that.
Yeah, it's a one-time sink for the hatchet.
Right. So it's
not
like,
for training.
That's like, do we really need to add those? Because then that also, makes it so that maybe woodcutting doesn't make as much money for people wanting to, cut wood or process them into planks.
I do think that there's an interesting thing to think about with woodcutting, where as opposed to mining and its relationship with smithing, where you mine ore and you use it for smithing. With woodcutting, you chop logs, and there are 3 skills that use it. So maybe now there's like a little bit of a discrepancy, but I don't know if they're going to make for construction maybe some mega plank that requires regular planks and oak planks and teak planks and all the planks or something like that.
Good.
Like,
we're good.
You need
right
so
now.
many more logs than you need ore.
We're
but
good.
you also get logs much faster, which we talked about earlier. Like logs seem to be a lot faster to get
than
I think
than ore.
And that goes into the capacity of the ore box as well, or sorry, the wood box, and why the wood box has such a large capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's insane.
Like,
it is, yeah.
I mean, if we look at the maximum capacities, 210 normal logs, and all the way up to 310 eternal magics after all the upgrades are said and done for it. So that's a lot.
I forgot that it was a leveling benefit that it goes up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kept filling it during this update, and I was like, okay, I've definitely hit the cap at this point. It kept filling.
Yeah, I had that same thought. I was like, did they accidentally reintroduce that bug where it just takes infinite logs?
But no, it's like every X5 level, you get another 10 capacities above the initial 100 or whatever. So it keeps going up, plus the new achievements.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I think that's an interesting discussion on logs. And, I remember back in the day, and this was, before 2007, we had somebody who was a member of our community who would cut magics from 75 to 99, which was slow back in the day, really slow. And it was enough at the time for him to buy himself a party hat set. It was that kind of money because people wouldn't want to do that kind of manual labor, but it was there.
Well, because chopping magics was so slow back then. Back when we only had a rune hatchet or maybe a dragon hatchet by that time.
No, it was rune.
Mm-hmm.
So, you question, what is the role of a gathering skill, and should a gathering skill make money? And then that's a bigger question in terms of skill money making in general. And I feel like the general answer from this podcast is going to be yes.
It should make money. And that just confuses me more with how prevalent Eternal Logs have ended up with the new hatchets, with the mechanics that were added.
Well, yeah, what are you going to use them for?
I feel like I very, very easily got my 1,000 for War's Retreat, and you do not need a lot.
Yeah?
You can burn them. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can always burn them.
That's why we got 110 firemaking to burn the logs.
Burn it down.
But you also need 10 Eternal Magic tree anima, which you get from the Eternal Magics through Bird's Nest that are relatively common. It took me about 1.5 wood boxes to get all 10.
Oh, I got mine very fast. I got mine within 200 logs.
Oh, wow.
I think mine was within a wood box as well, yeah.
I had all of my nest buffs. I had my Rabbit's Foot. I had my my Superior Scrimshaw, and I was chasing the Chopportunity. So I was maxing as much as I could.
Right. And then we wind up with the hatchet, a Bloom and Blight, tier 100 woodcutting hatchet. Finally, in game, that you can have a second one if you're like me, and you put it on your tool belt.
Any thoughts on the name?
I think it makes sense.
Bloom and Blight.
Yeah, I like it.
Not life and death.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they made that change. I mean, I kind of get it. I understand why they had that instinct because it does communicate
Tier.
very effectively
Mm-hmm.
in a way that we had kind of organically with the metals and with Dragon and
Until
Crystal.
Earth and Song.
Until Earth and Song. But yeah, it's also a little boring just for everything to be life and death.
I feel like the whole sentiment of the update changed when the new names were talked about.
What do you mean?
Feel like it was,
negatively.
I feel like the sentiment of the update was pretty doom and gloom. Like, oh, just another 110 update, not really a content update, just more stuff to do. And the names changed, like, oh, this is really cool now. It's something new.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair.
and
That's
you know,
something.
I always go back to this. Is there going to be some lore tie-in between all these, you know, level 100 tools and the fact that they're all, you know, shadow, deathy, out east kind of things,
From the
right?
Sacred Forge, yeah.
So, before we leave the hatchets, Zerdones, you mentioned that the hatchets have kept their combat stats.
Yes.
The new ones.
Yep. Hatchets have combat stats.
So this thing has tier 90 accuracy with damage 612, which I think you said is the damage of a tier 60.
I think it was Thaxi that said this when in conversation. I don't remember
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Yeah, but interesting nonetheless. I think that they kept that, and maybe that's just a relic of how things used to be. I don't know.
Yeah, 612 auto attack damage, 480 ability damage. That is, I don't know what that is.
The interesting thing, and this doesn't stop people from necessarily using the hatchet. I think the interesting thing is that the Incando hatchet did have a skiller option to
Yes, it did.
mode it into a version that had a level 1 equip stat, so you could equip it if you didn't have combat stats.
Yep.
They did
I didn't realize that.
forgo that for these 2 new hatchets. They do require quests that require you have combat levels. So
Yeah, that was. I saw someone reported that as a bug, and I think it was Zana said it's not a bug, it's intentional because you need to have like 80 strength.
Yeah,
it seems
for
like
both
the
dwarves.
skiller version of the Incando hatchet was maybe the hiccup based on just pickaxes and how these are done.
yeah, and you know it doesn't matter anymore.
These are the special ones
Because if
you
you're
can have
running
it in your inventory.
Yeah, you can have it in your inventory, and I mean, hey, if you're running a skill tier 2 and you want a hatchet that you can wield, you know, we have hatchets all the way up to primal as well now that you can smith and use, which is good for the group Iron Man, but also, you know, maybe for people who don't want to go all in on the quests right away, and if you are going to 120 or 200 mil, you do want these. So,
Yeah.
Many stat requirements is kind of the theme of these special.
Yeah,
modes.
like this is end game skilling gear. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is interesting that you do require 99 attack to wield the primal hatchet and the hatchet of Bloom and Blight. They have
they're in your inventory until you have those. That 9.
they have tier 50 damage, I think, and accuracy. The wiki for some reason says the primal hatchet is tier 100 damage, but the ability numbers is the same as a rune longsword. But with tier 99 accuracy, or maybe tier 100 accuracy. I'm not sure.
That's actually really weird.
So it's a little odd to require 99, but whatever.
I mean, it's just
Not that.
it's just I just think leftovers, honestly, from the past. That's how I'm gonna reconcile it.
Because pickaxes don't have combat stats, but they did used to.
I'm not even gonna try and make sense of it.
I think it's probably, honestly, I suspect it's probably, it was enough work to remove that it wasn't worth the benefit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would be my guess.
Eternal short bows and the primal crossbow. New smithable weaponry. Yay, nay, maybe, maybe not.
Fletching
for 110.
Fletching.
Balancing.
It feels
Balancing.
Balancing.
Okay, so let's get into this then. Requires level 100 to make. When fletched out, has the stats of a tier 90, and just like Elder Rune, it starts at Mark 1 and going up.
Yeah, so the base level has tier 85 damage, or sorry, tier 85 accuracy. I think there's I'm led to understand, I haven't really tried these, I'm led to understand they have a bug on them where they don't have capped damage. So technically they have tier 99 damage, just with tier 85 accuracy.
Right,
and then
so if you use an Elder...
tier 90 accuracy.
So if you use an Elder God Arrow with them, then you're getting the full benefit from it.
Yeah, that's what I understand. And then the accuracy is 85 at the base, and then up to 90 at Mark 5. Yep. So they're pretty good, actually.
Yeah, they are. And, this is something we would have killed for, even a year ago, or just before Necromancy came out, when talking about range stuff, because we were looking at, the Bow of the Last Guardian, and, where is the cheap consumer option for it? Where's the crossbow variant of it if you don't have the Ascensions? Now, we also need to be 100% clear that the Eternal Shortbow and the Primal Crossbows are not augmentable. We need to be 100% clear on that going in. So this is your budget-based weapon. Requires 63 Eternal Magics to take it up to Mark 5. And then you can, after that, do the burial-like mechanic that sacrifices the weapon. They call it marshalling for both of them.
Donates to your local army.
Yeah, donate it to your local army. So,
because Gothics knows they are having budget issues. They need all the help they can get.
Yeah, and the question is, what are they fighting for, right? I don't know.
Clearly, magic users.
Yeah,
clearly.
If the combat,
well, I mean, they're fighting Moya and her army of demons defending.
Yeah,
the
I guess
fort.
that fight's still kind of happening in the background, isn't it? And we're just looking somewhere else.
I'd still call that the main
Defend the home
story,
front.
even if we're not doing it right now.
Okay. So they also, with this, added a number of fletching benches around the world, and that's where you do the marshalling action of it. And I just want to talk a bit about the process of this before getting into the XP rates. I felt like, for me, when I went into this, I felt like I was supposed to be doing something else because of what smithing has taught me, because I had 2 progress bars above my head.
Yeah.
And now I know
Feels
that
like
one is basically a make X timer counting down until I need to interact again, and then the other is the progress for how much progress I've made to completion on the bow or crossbow.
It looks like the heat bar that you see in smithing, but there is no hindrance.
So I thought that, am I supposed to be clicking this every so often or what? But no, you just let it go, and I think that's okay. It's good to have a bit of AFKing like that on the fletching side. Because we don't really have AFK fletching, do we?
No, this is definitely closest to. You're right. You're care styling. Sorry, I totally forgot.
But that's not that great.
That's so low, man. I mean, that's like.
It's fine if the XP isn't great if I can pay 0 attention to it.
Right. Exactly. That's
I mean, right, but it's got to be something. It's really low. It reminds me of like the harps
I guess that's
in
fair.
the beginning.
Well, care styling, I think, is like 250 XP an hour.
What?
I think.
It's that high?
I think so. I've
shit.
not
I was
tried
thinking
it.
it was like 80.
No, it's not consolation like the harps.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Well, because it requires 95, so it is high. It is high
and
in
extinction.
Content, right? And extinction, yeah.
And if you're there for enough days, the vines do sell for something.
So since we're in the weeds with XP here, Zerdones, you've been following along with this discussion here. What are we looking at for crossbows and bows here?
So I don't know about the crossbows. I did a little bit of playing around trying to do back of the envelope calculations on the short bows. My my very rough calculation is that taking a bow from logs to Mark 5 is about 200k XP an hour base, and taking it to Marshall bumps that up to about 260, 266. So not great. When I started adding in some boosts, like I did another test with the fort bench, because that gives an XP boost, with the outfit, with the base amulet. I don't have the upgraded amulet, I only have the base model amulet. That took me up to about 240 and 330k respectively. So better than care styling ish, but not great. Not great, Bob. Not great.
Now the arrows.
Yeah, so the arrows, I have to props to Lemon, friend of the show, community member, who did this calculation for me. With reasonable boosts, I think she had the Tier 3 Lodge and Inspiration Aura and Crystal Knife, Amulet, and Outfit. 1.3 mil.
It's a cool 1.3 mil.
To make the arrows from scratch, about 700k just to feather. Just to fletch and feather. Not including tipping.
Seems a little high.
But when you factor that in, if you look at something like Dine arrows or Stalker arrows, and you factor in the XP boost that you're going to get there, you're looking at similar numbers.
Dine arrows
are 900 base.
900 base? Okay, yeah. I know... Yeah, okay, Wiki says Dine arrows are 900, broad arrows are 675. I think the Wiki says Dragon darts are 1.5 base.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a big gap. There's a massive discrepancy between the two. Honestly, I feel like the arrows are probably fine, because they're tier 100 content. They are the top tier fletching content.
And they don't
they're reasonably active.
Yeah, and they don't... Right, I was going to say that. And, they compete with the Dine arrows in that they don't require extinction and whatnot behind them. And what you're giving up in that is that they don't have any special effects associated with them if you chose to imbue with anima.
They're much less desirable as products for that reason.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing just, like, basic Slayer, or if you're not really, like, a high-end PVMer, like, I would probably use a lot.
Like, I think the thing that we're underselling with this is that if you factor in the Masterwork Bow, which we'll get to, these arrows, and the armor that you can get from effectively just grinding normal Vorkath, bows and arrows is really in a good place.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to fix with ranged in that case is greater ricochet, and then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and now we have 2 of the 3 combat styles taken care of with masterwork items and accessible gear.
Yeah. But
yeah.
So then what's the consensus on the bows? Does that need to come up like 340-ish, factoring in marshalling and a relatively lean back method of training?
I think it needs to come up in the martial side.
Yeah.
Like maybe not like at the base making the Mark 1s or whatnot, but like at least let the throw your money at it.
Right. Because
version.
if you buy Elder Rune or Primal +5s and then just burial those, you are having phenomenal XP rates on the smithing side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And shouldn't that be the same here for these bows? Is that if you buy the Mark 5s, you should get phenomenal fletching XP? Isn't that how it should be?
I don't necessarily want phenomenal fletching XP, because I think it is very lean back.
Right.
It's quite AFK.
And we did make the point that fletching's fastest XP, even if you go back to when RS2 came out, was always in the ammunition.
Right. So, and ammunition is very click intensive to make, so I think that sort of makes sense. I'm okay with bows being less, but I feel like they should be more than they are.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like this is maybe something that will come with time too. I don't know if we'll get that next week, but you know, maybe something for, you know, end of January or early February, but based on where we're at here.
I think the other thing that just feels weird about this is that they made a point of saying in the news post that they wanted to make the Fletching XP way more towards weapons as opposed to ammo.
Right.
And that is an odd thing to put in the news post because it's not
true. It's not what happened.
And that would be the entire reason you make this system of like the Mark V stuff is for the XP. Yeah. That's why this system exists, is to dump resources into that.
As a result, XP is now weighted more towards weapon creation than ammunition.
But it's not.
I mean, unless I've done my math wrong, which is entirely possible.
But then that would also require Lemon doing the math wrong too, and other people in the community, because that seems to be the number that people have come to around that ballpark range. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's an outstanding issue, and maybe something that will come up in the
especially
future.
Before propagating it down tiers, if that's what happens.
So
yes,
and I mean, hey, Dyne arrows and whatnot. At least there's a competitive alternative to those now. So who's making a Masterwork bow? Oh, sorry, Avernick, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say and more use for this is gonna feed into Masterwork. More use for that last level 110 update we got.
Yeah.
I have made a Masterwork bow as of this show.
Nice.
What was your deciding factor into why?
I made most of it just because I wanted to see what it was like. The pause moment was the noxious.
Yeah.
I regret so hard not snap buying a noxious weapon as soon as I saw the component in the menus.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. What you're mentioning is that you need a faceted noxious sapphire, which comes from noxious essence, which is used by breaking down undyed noxious weapons on that same Dragonkin anvil and forge.
You only need one, though.
That's you need one noxious
saving
weapon
grace.
And one ascension.
But let's realize here, the scythe is marked at 341, the longbow 280, and the staff 264.
Yep.
They don't buy for those prices.
No, they're not going to buy.
No.
So,
not
I mean,
anymore.
it's a good weekend to go spend some time at the Spider.
I spent nearly, I did this a couple hours ago, 450 mil on the staff.
You!
Wow.
You did this.
That's what it would buy for.
Holy crap.
I honestly, I care not that much about the money. I just wanted to get it done. But still, it took a while of contemplating.
What kind of money do you have?
Well, now I only have 200 mil.
Oh, okay.
Less.
You'll also need an Ascension or offhand Ascension crossbow. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what's happening with those, because those have been just so low
bad.
Since the meta had shifted away from bolts.
I know Thaxi tried it out a couple of days ago, and he said they were still at guide price, about 55 mil. I don't know if that's changed over the last day or two.
I mean, hey, I can't remember the last time I used my Ascensions, and I might sacrifice one of them to this if I was to do this, given the fact I think bows are better now.
And both of these things, the Ascension crossbows and the Nox bow, are level 90 weapons.
Yeah.
The primal and eternal magic weapons are that high. Not even the Masterwork bow. The really easy, stupid ones to make are that level.
Yeah, like, but you can't augment. You can't augment those.
You can't augment them, and I wouldn't say
the augments make a big difference.
They make a level of difference. I wouldn't say like
Me personally,
the casual person is not going to care.
right? Okay, the casual person's not going to care,
fair.
but I wouldn't take them to PVM. I would use them for Slayer, and that's it. For
Even
me.
if like you got this Eternal Magic Bow weeks or months before you ever got your Nox bow.
Well, if I didn't have the experience of a Nox bow, this would be great. Yeah, okay, put in that lens.
I feel like
fine.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those weapons are fair. I don't think it's what we expected, though.
No, and I just want to say right now, the writing is on the wall that tier 90 magic weapons are on the chopping block next when runecrafting comes out, and let's just remember where those come from, folks.
I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't. I know they're going to, but I hope they don't.
That's Virago.
That's the Angry Rock.
That's the most definite one of the bunch.
I know.
Well, I mean, as you guys are hearing this, go buy an Ascension, or not an Ascension, go buy a Seismic Wand and Orb.
Seismic Wand, yeah.
I think they're pretty cheap now,
yeah, they've
honestly,
come down.
because the 95s came out.
Past Seismics, I don't know. Like, what else do people use for magic weapons? Like the Greater Runic Staff? Or
Grey Souls.
Oh, I can't see them going to level 9 too. I can't see them going to 9
Or they could just skip the ones from Virago and just go Prey Soul and the ones from Nakatra, because remember, those are very common.
I was about to say, yeah, F it, let's do the Nakatra ones.
95s are so common. Honestly, they could. Almost. I don't think they will, but it'd be funny.
But overall, I feel like this is in the exact same category as the Primal two-hander, as will be the Primal Staff, or the Masterwork Staff when that comes out. Now, this Masterwork Bow, I mean, unless you have a Bow of the Last Guardian, I think this is something you could probably pick up. Because you can augment this, right?
Yes, you can. That's what's interesting about it, because it doesn't have a special or a passive. I think you guys talked about that last week.
Yeah.
That is coming.
Yeah.
But even for now, it can still use the enchanted arrows, the splintering arrows and the god arrows to full effect. So you already get those effects. It's augmentable, so you get perks. It is, and it's tier 100 accuracy and damage. So it's kind of better than a Saren God bow.
Yeah.
Like stat-wise, it's better. It's definitely better than a Noxious bow. If you are like me and you have a Saren God bow and you don't have a Bow of the Last Guardian, get this, put your Saren God bow in an EOF, and you're laughing.
Yeah, but and see, that's the thing. If I look up the Bow of the Last Guardian price right now, like the total price for it, it's 1.8 bill, and I primarily use Necromancy for PVM.
Well,
and it's like, do I want to put 1.8 bill into a ranged weapon?
Yeah, that's the other side of it too. Like,
so you might as well go with the Masterwork.
Necromancy exists,
right? So Masterwork is fine with that. And then I think we get to a point eventually where my poor SGB will wind up in an EOF, like lots of people have done.
Yep.
So
where did things change between this and the Masterwork Sword? 'Cause I feel like the Masterwork Sword was very negative.
The issue with that was that it was just a sword and not something that had halberd range on it, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, there was.
And the passive.
I think there was nothing. There was
But
nothing.
the Masterwork bows have
it,
extra range or a passive.
But the bows have arrow effects.
Okay,
which you can synchronize with the Dracolic armor from Vorkath.
It's a combination of the fact that, well, yeah, it synergizes with the Dracolic armor. You get the effect from the arrows, and the fact that other than below tier 95, there's no passives on two-handed range weapons. Maybe there's one on the what's the two-handed crossbow? The Eldritch crossbow.
I don't think it's a passive on it. I think it's just a spec. Just a spec.
Okay, that's just a spec.
That's
okay. So
Spitzel.
So there's no passives. So at the top end, those are EOF weapons anyway.
As long as you're not Bow of the Last Guardian, then you're fine being second place.
Right.
But what was Masterwork Sword not fine being second place to Langs then?
But Langs are relatively langs are quite cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Sorry. Thank you for helping me understand.
Yeah.
I guess
No, and the issue as well
I'm
is
making
that
these for fun.
this fits more into a ranged PVM setup than the Masterwork two-handed sword did, because basically the Zuck sword has the extended range, and then you have a series of other swaps that you use if you're using melee for the high burst damage, that there really was, in the eyes of the melee PVM people when that came out, that there really was just no place for the Masterwork sword.
Right, I think that's the other side of it too. Like at the tippy top of the top end, melee is very switch heavy.
Yeah.
So with melee, you're already bringing the kitchen sink everywhere you go. This was just one more thing.
It's Vine Whip, Zuck sword,
Langs,
and the Masterwork spear.
Yeah.
At least, and then there's some other one that I always forget in there too. So
I remember claws being decent as a EOF.
right.
I don't know if that's still in the top end presets or not, but
yeah. So you see where this goes. You got 4 or 5 weapons, and then you got 2 EOFs that you switch between. You see why melee is so switch heavy, and why there really wasn't a place for the weapon.
And then even
sword.
at Slayer, like the damage is nice, but not having halberd range. Like with Slayer, your damage needs aren't so great that it outweighs the halberd range of the scythe or Laniakea's spear for poison damage.
With all this talk about specifics, now I'm really questioning where a Masterwork staff fits.
Well, the Masterwork staff is going to be interesting. Because it's going to come down to, do people want to use an upgraded fractured staff or upgraded Nikatra wand and orb, right?
The Nikatra wand and orb is just so easy to get.
The consensus I'm seeing, I did a little bit of clicking around PVME. I held my nose and clicked around PVME a little bit. And it seems like the conversation there is that the T92 wand, or the Tier 95 wand is you want to camp, and then you switch to the crit stick for the special.
That's what Bear said, and going back to that, I don't know if any of you were on the show, but he said his endgame magic setup is the God Wars 2 Sliske armor for the crit chance.
Yes.
With the Tier 95 upgraded to 100 wands, and then just switch to the Fasoa for the spec.
Yeah, someone told me that the other day. It wasn't Bears, but someone told me that the other day, and I had to laugh.
I know, it's so funny, isn't it?
Sliske armor is meta for mage. It's amazing. Mage armor is so crap.
That's crazy.
Anyways, I think I'm going to make one of these now. I think I talked myself into it with this discussion here. The bow, yeah.
It's an interesting process. I think what's caught me most off guard is how much smithing is in it. Like, it's a considerable amount. You need
7 glorious bars.
Yeah, I was about to say, like you need to first make 7 components out of glorious bars, which are each their own, 5 to 10 minute thing. And then you're combining a lot of them at the smithy as well. So, you're doing, maybe 15 actions, 15 long pieces at the smithy. And you only need to do, for on the fletching side, So glorious bars exist, right, as 100 of each metal?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you need 7 of them.
50, I think.
50 of each. You need 7 of them.
Yeah.
Still, that's 350 of each metal. On the fletching side, you only need 200 of each log.
Right.
To make the Masterwork
and
bow.
let's also not forget about the folding that happens with those glorious bars to get to that point.
Right.
Too.
There's a lot of process there.
So,
I was surprised how you do the 100 of each. 100 of each log to make the dusts and whatever. Once you make the dusts, they combine instantly. Every single piece is instant.
You see the issue. I'll just say the issue is that you don't have this in fletching. And that's all I was going to say. Go ahead, Sir Dones.
The folding.
The other thing that you need are the branches.
The branches are, you put 75 points or 150 points or whatever at a couple stages. I think the bars were way more noticeable.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, you do have a couple of long steps for fletching. And in addition to the fletching and the smithing steps, the imbuing steps for the gems were also probably longer than the fletching steps. There's a couple stages to those as well. So I feel like I spent a lot more time imbuing and smithing than I did fletching.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which was weird because I think smithing very self-contained. The bow, I guess I'm surprised that the imbuing was magic and not rune crafting, and they're kind of not pulling from what their next skill is going to be for making a weapon.
Well, I think that goes to what I said, is that, you know, the mechanics for these sorts of extended things don't really exist in fletching, but they do exist in smithing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sort of starting to get things like that in with like the martial bows, but it's still very... I don't want to use the word immature, but recent, let's say.
There was also a post on Reddit that Breezy did about perfected Masterwork branches and their drop rate. He said they've been closely monitoring the rates for these, and they weren't hitting the mark, so they hotfixed that.
Yep, they were hotfixed on Tuesday, I want to say.
Yeah, so that's probably after you did it, Avernick, right?
So I saw it.
And?
For sure. Way faster. And I think that's probably how it should be, given that the NPC has that turn-in option for extra branches for XP. Like, It should be like a free, I don't know, it's like a medium or large lamp's worth.
It's a medium, I think.
Medium's lamp worth of woodcutting speed. That should be more common if that option exists. Because I got 0 in like 2,000 logs.
Yeah.
To start. I was
That's
really
a big
going for it,
ouch.
I waited for the hotfix after I saw that it was coming.
Yeah.
Well, this will be something. This will be something
days,
that, you know, that I'll work towards over time, because I don't have a need for it immediately, and I don't know that I actually have a Nox weapon just sitting in the bank that's ready to go. So, but
none of them have treated you poorly recently.
I could do that, or I can just, you know, save myself the trouble and just stick with necromancy until this and do ranged on the GIM. But
yeah.
I wonder if they ever get to a Masterwork necromancy weapon set, because it doesn't really have its own dedicated something. It's skill.
Someone mentioned that in clan chat the other day, and I made the comment that like the tier 90 necromancy weapons kind of already are Masterwork.
Yeah,
you almost put as much effort into them.
A lot of stuff to put into them. It's true.
Yeah, and you have to make them at least once in order to use them.
So what you're saying is that what we need is the next Keeley tasks to get to
100 Keeley tasks.
To get to the 100 level.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Ay. All right. So with that, we already mentioned the hatchets, so we can move on to 110 firemaking with this here, and
sure.
It's there.
It exists.
You can make a bonfire at War's Retreat, and you can burn to level 110.
You have to make one fire with one log in order to get that achievement for burning all logs.
Oh, right. Forgot that exists.
That is something that you lost if you had it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the War's Retreat thing is really the comp check.
Yeah, basically.
Smithing's heat mechanics also scale with 100 to 110 firemaking.
Yep.
I got screwed.
So did the fire spirits.
I'm not going to start on those. We'll be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
And protean logs remain unchanged for firemaking.
That's fine.
So,
I mean, this really signals that there wasn't going to be anything more to it.
No.
This was what it was going to be.
And, you know, when you take a skill to 110, I think it's clear at this point in time that it's not about adding or, you know, fixing the skill or, you know, just providing more use to it. That's something for other...
It's about making the levels exist, and, you know, future updates could take advantage of that space now.
Yeah. I mean, people overlook it, but I think incense is a big one, honestly.
I think they could easily get that in the future.
Yeah, I don't think you can do a new incense without bumping prayer.
Right.
So I think 110 prayer is when we're going to see that.
Oh my god, that's going to be terrifying.
Bottom 120.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, like, in the blog that we got last week about this that they did consider firemaking and construction, and there is a delineation between firemaking. There wasn't much more to do with it, but construction there is, so they held that one back. So it's not just doing everything for.
Thank goodness.
That makes me feel good.
Mildly tacit
more
admission.
buildings. Woo!
Mildly tacit admission that firemaking is the redheaded stepchild of skills.
No, that's a joke.
There's been
finally.
like 5 updates of we're making firemaking useful, guys, and we're still asking for firemaking to be useful.
Yeah,
That's still useful.
I mean, you're right. Agility is still worse, but
they also brought in the changes to Crystallize and Lightform this week. They said this was highly requested, and that it involved concerns about using the Crystallize spell and Lightform prayer while chopping mahogany trees for some of the best woodcutting XP rates. Rightly so, you pointed out that it didn't make much sense for a level 60 tree to offer the highest XP for grinding to level 120. So, given that there's 25 years of content in the game, it's not always feasible to account for every training method, nor to eliminate all the quirks. So with this, they agree that it's not ideal for a level 60 tree to provide some of the best woodcutting XP. After evaluating the options, they decided to take mining's approach with Crystallize and Lightform by adjusting their XP bonuses from 50 and 87.5% to 20 and 40, respectively. This adjustment also affects fishing. So previously, this method could offer nearly double the XP at a cost of less than 1 million GP an hour while focusing on a level 60 tree. Now, by reducing its effectiveness, they've also addressed the imbalance without having to resort to heavier-handed options, such as nerfing the XP or stats of mahogany trees outright. Okay.
My only comment is this took way too long. This should have been a patch for Crystallize when it came out.
And how's come we end up with a nerf, but other communities get a feature?
In what way?
Well, I mean, I'll still never get over we'll just make Vortic auto attack a thing, but if something like this, lasts for years, they'll get around to fixing it.
It's way too long that it's been in the game, but I do think that they have a better eye now towards the idea that they're going to be adding level cap increases going forward. So making sure that things are more sustainable is probably more a priority this year than it was when Crystallize came out 5 years or... Shit, it was more than 5 years ago.
It was more than 5 years ago. I got bad news for you.
It got us again.
I got bad news for you, Chief.
I know. It's just like...
Crystallize came out 9 years ago, August 24th, 2015.
So I think they just get better and better at looking at sustainability of stuff, and unfortunately, things weren't like that for the past decade. Dear goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I want Skilling to have cool toys, but it is very weird when your best XP is halfway through your level band. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's my same problem with fletching. It's weird to me that, like, the meta for fletching has been broad bolts for so long. Maybe that's not meta anymore, but it's, like, the fact that it was for so long is...
I agree. I agree on that, and I think it's okay that this was changed. Because woodcutting as it is right now, it's not painful, and you have so many great options from, fully accessorizing yourself out and choosing something like, maybe crystallizing one of the higher level trees if you want to go that route. Or if you want to instead do the golden bamboo on the arc, that's viable too. Or you can just, follow the level bands as you go up and camp these new trees. Though it remains to be seen just how much the eternal magic logs will sell for at the end of the day. So, but that's pretty much the woodcutting, fletching, and firemaking to 110. Does anybody have anything else here?
That might be.
I think that pretty
I
much does
am
it.
happier with how this update went than the last 110, which is hopefully what we're saying for every 110 update is it's better than the last one.
You know, I'll agree on that, and I think the main reason I agree, aside from the little issue with their messaging on the XP being in the weaponry, I think the Masterwork Bow is actually really interesting this time, just given the fact that range has better synergies.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think that they're getting paying a little more mind towards the payoffs. I think that there's a little better idea here about what they're doing with less refined skills. I think that it's aligning more to expectations, and I think that that's going to point towards this being a good tool in their toolbox of updates they can give us going forward.
Agree. Well, with that, we do have a few patch notes to go through with this update. In particular, with things on the woodcutting and fletching side, we briefly mentioned the fact that the forge needs to be relit as part of the Master Questcape achievement, but now also the pickaxe of Earth and Song is smelted there too. And also this week, Elder God Arrows capped to level 100. Did we mention that earlier rather than 95?
I think we
might have mentioned it.
We
might have glanced at it. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But they also added a bunch of trees in the game. 4 teaks have been added to Musa Point, so level 30 trees can be chopped in free-to-play. 3 maples have been added south of Iraq, so maples at level 40 can be chopped in free-to-play. 3 Acadias have been added near Het's Oasis, so those can be chopped in free-to-play. And teak and Acadia logs are no longer listed as members-only objects in the woodcutting skill guide. As well as with this, Acadia logs and teak, as well as maple and Acadia wood boxes are free-to-play, and teak and Acadia trees can now be chopped on free-to-play worlds as well. I think that's good, because that just makes woodcutting feel more spread out and more full with this.
Yeah.
And you're going to need that
you more
anyways.
options.
So
catch up with the Grove update from last year.
Yeah, nice. Let's see. Wood boxes can be filled with noted logs in the backpack to facilitate the new fletching upgrading process. That's another thing I didn't touch on. That was a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Is that you need to use the wood box to do the upgrade there. So
yeah, because you need 32 logs for the Mark V upgrade.
So you put 32 in the wood box, and then you have 1 in your inventory, and then you can just make it, which is a little bit weird to me.
Put 300 in your wood box, and you just make the whole thing.
I never needed any in my inventory. I thought I saw some people talking about that, but I didn't understand what the scenario was where you need 1 log in your inventory. I've been using the one to bench.
You need 1 to make the base bow.
Yeah, and you need something to click on. Like
I was using the fort bench, so I think that was what
right.
You need a log to click on. So
no, because you can click on the bench.
The bench will do it. The bench
right.
will pull up.
And see, that's the thing. I wasn't going around and I wasn't using fletching
Yeah.
benches. So that explains the disconnect I was having.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
that was why I was very confused why that was a complaint.
Okay.
That's a new mechanic issue.
Yeah.
We're not used to it.
Yeah, fair enough. And by the way, if you need a fletching bench, fort, or failing that, just look on the world map.
Berthorpe has one, yeah.
Yeah, there's one in Berthorpe.
There's also one in Varrock too, just south of the fountain.
It's whatever your favorite kingdom is to supply war weapons to.
Basically.
That's a good way of looking at it.
So obviously, the fort, because we need to arm ourselves to one day take over Varrock.
Why would I give them to other people?
Exactly.
We need to build up our own military-industrial complex.
Yeah. Are you satisfied with the crossbow gap?
They also increased the time that a bird's nest will remain on the floor up to 2 minutes from 30 seconds. That's nice.
Good.
That's nice, but I feel like I know we've all interacted with Grove. Yeah, if you've done the Grove,
it's less impactful now that they get picked up automatically.
You're right with the Grove.
Yeah.
The
but
Grove
also
benefits.
remember, there's going to be new players who haven't done that. So
that is true. Yeah.
We already mentioned the Eternal Wood Spirits, but for posterity, they come from Edamu, Liverworts, Ripper Dinosaurs, Solak, AOD, Raids, Virago, and the Calphite King. They added Primal Warhammers, main and offhand to smithing.
That's a game jam update that made it in very, very quickly.
Yeah. I don't know why we need that, but okay.
Dual wield
hammers are fun.
Steel 100.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Cosplay as Thor.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. They also refilled the Prifdinus waterfall.
That patch note made me laugh.
Yeah.
What was wrong with it?
I don't know. Like
The water was not loading in.
Oh, like underneath or up top?
Up top.
Oh,
I saw
see.
a screenshot on Reddit, I think, of like the wires wasn't loading up top in the basin.
All right, fair enough.
Oops.
And
Global
here's the
warming
clue scroll
depression
update that
us.
we mentioned last week. The system in which the clue scroll slider puzzles muddle up its puzzles. Oh, whoever friggin' wrote this is putting in a tongue twister here. Clue scroll slider puzzles muddle up its puzzles. Has been made consistent with how old school's RuneScape's clues work. This change reduces the number of steps needed to complete a puzzle drastically.
Yeah, it takes it
Which-
from like average 130 down to average of 40.
Oh, nice.
Such a good change.
Yeah.
It might actually make me do elites again.
My problem with
Well-
the... I feel elites take too long, and the sweet spot is hard and medium.
Well, yeah, but I mean, part of what makes elites take so long is because every clue is either a lockbox or a knot or a puzzle box.
Yeah.
Or combat.
Knots
but
are
yeah.
easy. Now that or a
Is
or
there
a
an
combat-
algorithm to the knots, or is
Yeah,
it just brute force?
There's an algorithm. I
Okay.
don't know off the top of my head what it is, but there is an
Do you know it?
algorithm. I use Alt 1.
I'd brute
Oh.
force.
I cheat.
Okay.
I'm a filthy cheater.
Shame.
But yeah, like that's why elites take so long. So I think
You know what I
the
should...
fact
Go
that slider puzzles are now like 25% of the length, I think they're going to be elites are going to be a lot less annoying now.
Right. You know what I should do? I should try Alt 1. Because the most fun I had this entire week on Leagues on Old School was clue scroll gambling. And if I could make clue scrolls happen easier, maybe I can have some gambling on RS3.
I would actually not recommend using Alt 1 because the interface scaling breaks compass clues. For some reason.
I am in a fortunate position that one of my computers, the Windows computer that can run Alt 1, doesn't have a monitor that uses UI scaling or resolution
Okay,
scaling.
well, if it works for you, great. If not, there is an alternative. I haven't played around with it, so I've heard good things about it, but I haven't played with it myself.
Okay.
There is an alternative.
Fair enough. And a calendar entry has been added for the Shooting Star refresh on December 16th to the 22nd, and the entry offers a teleport to Wizard Rosalina to start the new updated D&D. And that's where we pick up on Monday. Patch notes complete.
Yay.
Tanis, you wanted to talk about your GIM. What have we been up to this week?
Oh, well, I mean, I was just talking about how nice it is to be able to have those metal hatchets. I've never, especially in the Iron Man, you know, it's always great to have the absolute best of the best, but, you know, I wasn't too good for GoBot when I was a kid, so, you know, whatever. I'll use a metal hatchet, and I'm just thrilled.
Like, it's world
I'm
changing.
thrilled.
It is world changing. Like, the first thing we did on Monday when we realized we can make these is that we made hatchets for everybody in our group up to Necronium, because nobody's got 80 woodcutting yet. And then after that, you know, the Bane ones will come. But, you know, truly groundbreaking for that. So I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, because now you can have a tier 70 hatchet without needing to do Plague's End.
Yeah.
That's got to be so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, only
it's
70
not-
smithing to make, which I think, you know, three of us have at least. So
Yeah, I mean, we don't even have to do Dag Kings now. So, I mean, it's...
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Until you get Invention, and then you're going to want the Augmentable.
Oh,
I mean,
that
keep
discussion's
skilling
already
the
started with a
skillers.
few of us.
Yeah.
But that can come later.
Yeah.
It's not as pressing now.
We haven't touched base in a wild tennis because you weren't here last week when we did the last GIM update. But how are things going? What's the current plan, and what's the biggest story that's happened in the last 2 weeks for you?
Oh gosh. Just trying to keep food on the table, and
We appreciate that, by the way. Like, there's food in our group bank up to, I think it's like level 70 constitution viability now.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much it. Still sprinkling in some quests, getting my, got my kingdom, got my fort.
Oh, you need to talk to Thaxi because he is interested in acquiring magic logs from the kingdom.
The kingdom have magic logs?
Or maple logs, sorry.
Yeah, maple logs.
Yep, I've got those turned on. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But I've learned so much from the Iron Man. Like, okay, I definitely learned this. Bonus XP is like sugar. There's nothing wrong with it. It tastes really friggin' good, and it definitely speeds things up. But you can have just as good of a meal without it. And I'm starting to enjoy my sugar-free lifestyle here. So it's okay.
And isn't that the truth in real life? Like, an American goes somewhere outside of America and they realize that all the food doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it.
Labor is
probably
exist.
So,
I don't know. I mean, we're Americans, so we don't really leave. But I mean, the ones with money do. But
yeah. But in any case, okay. So what's the current goal? Like, do you have a certain level in mind? Do you have a path in mind?
Yeah. Well, I'm basically in kind of a rotation type loop where, make sure you get the food, and then I go back to Div to get more energy, more porters, and then I kind of work back around because I'm always trying to work towards invention with smithing and crafting, but I just kind of keep going around in this kind of circle of crafting, smithing, and then back to fishing, cooking, and then back to Div. That's the other thing that's kind of neat about Iron Man. It's just you don't get too bored. Your RuneScape ADD, by the time it kicks in, you have to go get stuff anyway.
Or something has come up that you want to, just go for something else entirely with that. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm at I think a 1075 total level. So
okay,
good. I'm enjoying myself, and I feel the funny thing is like I'm playing consistently. I'm playing every day consistently, but I'm still look back, go, how in the hell did I put up numbers the way I did, like back in the day? Like shit. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm playing consistently, but like, damn, I don't know how I did it back then.
It's not like hours upon hours on end.
Yeah, no, I guess not.
Okay, fair enough. Zerdones, Avernick, anything else from either of you aside from working with the wood this week?
I have been continuing my boss journey.
Ooh.
I am finally free of Commander Ziliana. I got the pet at 2474.
So you have no reason to go back there then, really?
To Ziliana? No, not really. Maybe if I get a Reaper task, but that would be it. So now I'm on to Grardor. At time of recording, I'm a little over 2700 normal mode and just shy of 200 hard mode. And I'm just waiting on the pet.
Thrilling.
So I'm almost at the third threshold. If I get there, I think I'm going to switch to hard mode because that'll be 1 in 250
Yeah, that's not too bad
at that
then.
point. So right now it's like 1 in 1600.
Have you done Krill yet?
No, I'm doing God Wars 1 alphabetically, so I'm doing Ziliana, Grardor, Friara, and then I'll finish with Krill.
Okay, fair enough. You're not burning out yet from that, or you're taking it relatively.
Well, it's easy. Normal mode is nicer because normal mode is basically AFK.
Yeah.
Grardor can hit surprisingly hard, so I have signed a couple of times in my hours if I'm not clicking on him specifically, and I draw aggro from one of the generals. But it's been fine.
All right, fair enough.
And hard mode Grardor isn't hateful like hard mode Ziliana is. So.
Yeah. Okay. I know that I have zero interest in doing those hard modes there, and if for some reason I ever go and do the pet there, I'll try and make it as AFK as possible, probably, unless I wind up in your situation. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like the drop rate is so low in normal mode that it's chill, but you'll be there forever.
But not as long as the Barrows, right?
Well, I'm longer on Barrows now because Barrows I wasn't 2800 total kills, so I'm almost at 2900 Grardor kills combined.
Wow.
Actually, I think I'm over 2900. I think if I factor in
that's
precision,
insane.
but the effort is not proportional.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Especially when you compare what's on the table for each of them. So
Barrows was way more effort.
Yeah, especially when you factor in things like a Crusade and Linza.
Yep, definitely.
So, Avernick.
Mostly this update. I feel like I've fallen off a little, and looking back, I realize that sans holiday events and I guess Group Iron Man. The last content update was really Gate of Elidness. Like meaty, chunky, something to bite into. So it's been a while, and I didn't realize how long it had been, and I was kind of subsisting off of like the Halloween event, and then by the Christmas event, I was kind of feeling the event stuff.
Now you know why they did Group Iron Man. It's to make people like the rest of us here have something to do in game when there's these gaps in content.
I don't know. I'm just not a new account person.
No,
so
I know. I'm not saying you should. I'm speaking about Tannis and myself. So
right. It seems like you guys are definitely like rediscovering a lot of stuff. So that's good. But I feel like this 110 update, even the Shooting Star update next week, I know there's like a comp requirement incorporated and stuff. So maybe I'll get a little into that. But Desert Quests, I'm looking forward to, and 110 rune crafting and those kinds of things coming up. But I think I'm looking for maybe a little more content update, more frequent scheduling.
Yeah, and I think we'll get back to that in the new year because you're right that we had the gate and then things kind of dropped off to get ready for GIM, and then it was into Halloween, then Christmas, and then this one update to end the year on. So that I think that makes sense on that. So
yeah.
As for me, I discovered that I'm going to need to do some Slayer soon.
Horror.
Why? Because it is a comp requirement to put the new necromancy attachment on a corrupted Slayer helmet. Yeah.
Well, you can buy that. You can buy the bits.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm wondering if I even have the corrupted Slayer helmet, though.
Well, you can also buy that too. You can buy the corrupted gem.
It's all viable.
But I can't buy the Slayer points to make it.
No,
right. You don't have to do the ritual yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't have the ability to make the helmet, then you need to buy that with Slayer points.
Yeah, exactly. So
you'll need Slayer for that. Okay.
So that'll be a bit there, and aside from that, the group Iron Man this week has been wonderful because I have now completed the herb farming basics kit, which includes, thanks to Parnassius the Convict, the desert sand teleport seed to the plant power Cruxical druids. I also did quests up to Fairy Tale Part 1 to get the magic secateurs, which is important for farming. And I did the troll quest to the point of unlocking the Trollheim teleport and the disease-free patch up on Trollheim. So that's now all the herb patches unlocked, aside from the one in Prith. And the only other real convenience things that I'm missing are the cabbage port ring to directly into that farm, which isn't that big of a deal. We can run there from either Port Sarum or Draenor.
It's pretty easy to get too, isn't it?
I think it's hard Lumbridge, which isn't too big of a climb since it's, the Lumbridge area task set, so that one's not too bad. But locked behind hard Ardoyan is the unlimited Manor Farm teleports, which I do want to get eventually, but we're quite a ways from that one. So
that's a little bit harder.
I have the ability now to basically farm any herb seeds that we have for the group, and that'll be something that I'm gonna be fully leaning into. So I'm
always farming.
I'm looking forward to that. And
Tannis, you got the hook up for those primo herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what the plan is going to be after that. Whether it's going to go into herblore. I kind of got to touch base with Daxi and see if he wants to take up the herblore mantle, because I think he did a massive amount of training in it this week, or if I'm still going in on that. But it's looking like I might end up being the naturalist, in that I'm quite surprisingly the farming and hunter person with herblore, which I didn't anticipate going in that hunter would be added into that. What'd you say, Habernick?
Always be farming.
Okay. That's not what I thought you said, but fine. Because there's lots of seeds that come from big game hunter and whatnot. So. Oh, hey, we just got one of those enchanted bird's nests here as I was doing woodcutting in the What Have We Been Doing section.
What'd you get?
What's in it?
I don't know. I have to go to a bank and open it up because it's in my wood box.
Oh yeah.
So
that's one thing I wish they would add, is the ability to take stuff out of your wood box into your inventory.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, it would. Wood. Haha, get it? Wood.
Nah.
Anyways, let's do some achievements. Starting off, we have Pero Picante with 99 agility on December 11th, and Godin with 120 woodcutting on the 10th. Congratulations.
And then on December the 9th, we have Irindel 20 with 120 smithing. Also on December the 9th, we have Explonia with both 99 fletching and 99 farming.
And Explonia once again, December 7th with 99 range. And Dat Engineer, 120 range to December 6th.
It was actually
did I say 99 range? 99 prayer.
99. Yeah.
99 prayer.
Yep.
My bad.
Yep.
Sorry, Explonia.
Doing it live.
Nah, that's
doing
fine.
It live.
We're all a little bit calibrated here for the end of the day and whatnot, and end of the week with that. So fully understood with that. But pick of the week. It's that time of year. It's time for the year in search. And I always like showing these, and I remember going way back, we'd do these as tech news, like the Google Zeitgeist, they used to call it. But now they just call it the year in search. It's out. So if you want to see what the trends were globally, in your country, whatever it might be, you can go to trends.withgoogle.com/year-in-search/2024, or just find them linked in the show notes over at update.show. And if I click global for the movies this year, we have Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Saltburn, Beetlejuice, and Dune Part 2.
Yeah. All the big ones.
Deadpool and Wolverine is so funny to me.
Yeah. For music, we got Diddy.
That's not for the reason we hoped.
Not for good reasons.
Usher.
Not for music.
Linkin Park.
Same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter and Justin Timberlake.
Why Justin Timberlake?
I don't know.
Did this ruin the world tour?
Oh,
DUI.
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 Yeah, that would do it.
And then, of course, when it comes to news, number 1, the U.S. election. Number 2, excessive heat. Number 3, the Olympics. Number 4, Hurricane Milton. And number 5 is something I can't read.
Without looking it up, my guess
Japanese.
is that this is... Oh, is it Japanese? Oh, yeah,
it's Typhoon number 10. That's what it translates to.
I was going to guess it was the thing that happened in South Korea last week.
Yeah,
there would not have been enough time, I think, for it to trend that high. But
maybe. It was pretty kind of a big deal, but
yeah,
maybe.
Weather.
They also have a new category this year. Hum to search. The songs that people hum to search to find the song.
Is that an option? Like you can hum into something?
Yeah, you can hum into Google and it will tell you what the song is.
I didn't know that. That's
whoa.
Huh. Technology.
The top ones that people did that for were Beautiful Things by Benson Boone. Bling Bang Bang Born by Creepy Nuts. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga. Past Lives by Slushy. And Wellerman by Santiano.
Interesting.
Hey, don't know any of them, but
no, and I mean, I guess not. When it comes to games, which I mean, we're kind of in that area here. None of them for us. Number 1, Connections.
Yep, that makes sense.
What is that?
That's a New York Times game where
it's a puzzle game, isn't it?
Yeah,
where
every day they give you 16 words. You have to figure out how you group them into 4 groups of 4. Like then they have like different things they have in common. Like these are all very simply colors or names of actors or things like that. But they're way more puzzly than that. That was not a good example.
Number 2 was Pal World. 3, Infinite Craft. 4, Sprunky. And 5 is Helldivers 2, one of my favorites. And this was all on the global trend, and then you can of course drill down to for whatever country you're in. So I mean, if we go to the U.S., for you guys, it's quite obvious who and what the first things were: the election and Donald Trump as well on there. But you can go into your sports and you can see all the athletes in there. Tannis Jake Paul was in at number 5.
Really?
Yeah. For that
no one
fight.
was Googling what a tariff was?
No. No, I don't think so.
I think Google might be the only one in America who does.
That's the number 1 search in Canada, not over here. they're worried about that shit.
Yeah, we are. We also have Scotty Schieffler, Simon Biles, Emaine Khalif, and Mike Tyson making out the sports athletes for the year. But we'll just do the hum to search ones in the U.S. and maybe these sound a bit more familiar to you guys. Beautiful Things by Benson Boone.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big song.
Axel F. Crazy Frog.
Really? This year?
Yeah.
Wow. That's something that was
That's
popular when I was in middle school.
Wellerman Santiano.
Okay.
Past Lives Slushy, and Too Sweet by Hosier.
Okay.
So
interesting. I mean, it's a little more aligned, but
yeah.
Axel F, really?
Yep.
Damn.
Number 2.
That's
I don't know who any of these people are, but there you go.
None of them? Not a single one?
No.
Interesting.
No, I don't do music like that, so I had no idea. But drill down to it for your country. It's all very interesting on it, and just a fun thing to look at for the year-end one. I guess I should do a Canada one for you and me, Zerdones, eh?
Yeah, the questions were funny.
Yeah.
For Canada.
Okay.
Why is the LCBO on strike?
You want to explain what that is to the listeners?
So, at least in Ontario, it's not a thing in all of Canada, but in Ontario, which is the province that I live in, we have this odd decision where only businesses licensed by the government can sell alcohol. So LCBO stands for Liquor Control Board of Ontario, and that's the store where you can buy spirits. So wine, whiskey.
That's how it is down south.
That's how it is down south, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ABC stores. Yep.
Right, okay. So our current premier, so our version of a governor, essentially, has been slowly weakening this so that you can buy more and more alcohol in corner stores, in gas station stores, and in grocery stores. And as a response to that, the LCBO, which is it's owned by the government, but it's not a government department, they went on strike. That was one of the reasons that they went on strike, because their employees are unionized, and they, I think quite reasonably, were afraid that removing the LCBO's monopoly on liquor sales, because that's essentially what it is, it's a monopoly on the sale of liquor, that would threaten their employment situation. And so they went on strike.
And that's interesting to me, too, because here in Alberta, our liquor stores are private entities. Granted, you still can't buy them at the corner store, the gas station, or the grocery store, but liquor stores are, private entities, and it's a step.
Well, technically,
it's a different step.
LCBO is a crown corporation, so it's a private company, but its shareholder is the government.
Yeah, we don't have any of that here.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
That went away in the 90s on that. So, that's why that was interesting for me to see as well. But, another terrifying one is, why can't you look at a solar eclipse?
Hopefully that's one that they asked before the eclipse.
Right?
That's probably one they... never mind.
What?
There's a famous photo of a famous former and future president staring at a goddamn eclipse without...
I saw a video on Twitter a few weeks ago, it was around the time of the eclipse, so it was more than a few weeks ago, but it was some football player in the U.S. who was staring directly into the sun, and, not just brazenly, but bravely, defiantly, clearly in pain, blinking back tears, bravely soldiering on, staring into the sun. My guy.
There we go. That's a metaphor for 2020.
You have taken one too many blows to the head, my friend. You need to go see a doctor.
Well, you could drill down into all these people, entertainment, news and events, questions, and all that. That's all there, of course, in the pick of the week. Find the link at update.show. But our discussion here proves why that's a little bit interesting, isn't it? So,
certainly gets you talking.
Indeed. That brings us to the end of the episode this week. Thanks everybody for being here. Avernex Zardones, always great having the both of you on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Always happy.
And, of course, if you want the podcast delivered automatically to you, the best way to do that is to subscribe. We're on all the podcast listening services out there. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Pocket Cast, YouTube as well, youtube.com/RSBANDB. Leave us a like and subscribe. Greatly helps the channel out, and Tanis and I will be back next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update, the last regularly scheduled one of the year. We have a special that's going to appear, plus the usual clip show as we take some time off around the Christmas season. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.